I love video games. Every mildly interesting moment has been going up on my channel in the last 35 weeks. But which one's the best one? The best, game, not video. We all know it's this one. Eggs in the basket.
No, don't put them all in.
Well, I played a ton of different games this year, and we'll just have to organize it and talk it out, starting with my favorite section. I turned this game on for a minute and closed it. So from shortest playtime to longest, I opened 3089 to check to see if it ran on my computer and I could record it, but I forgot to make a video. I still really like that game. Neo 2. I was gonna start a second playthrough, but ended up giving up because how daunting it was to continue. Also, if you haven't tried the game, I recommend Fist Weapons. It really opens up how fast and fun the game can be. Games with an extreme pace like Audio Surf are where I get the most dopamine. Here's every co-op game I played this year. I won't elaborate on this section, because it is how it is. Wait, Long Drive? Unfortunately, this bit had to be cut. I was gifted Dwarf Fortress by a friend of the show, Lukeo. I'm enjoying it a lot. Please don't at me about the discrepancy of this transition. Space Haven was a little bit too complicated and it just didn't resonate with me. I picked it up because I got burned really hard by DF9. Actually, fuck you.
Crab would like to remind you that games are hard to make and a life simulator is really hard. Double Fine, please finish the game.
There was Star Citizen. I got mixed feelings. It feels like one of those lo-fi horror games, except psychological. Everyone is trying to convince you whether it's real or a lie. If a game's going to be complicated, I'd like the game to be complicated rather than my thoughts around it. Unlike Barony. Hey, this game's complicated as hell. That's the wrong word for it. I didn't vibe with the combat, and I didn't feel like devoting the time to get good. Here's a good section. Oh, these are all games that I played at least 50% of in the previous years, and I opened this year expecting to finish them or restart them from the beginning, and I just didn't. What else? Well, we got Need for Speed Heat. The story felt really uncomfortable. I prefer racing style of, God, what's that game's name? Oh yeah, Transformers Devastation was on my computer. I love the tone and gameplay of that one. I thought it was going to be more like Revengeance and I could beat it in an afternoon. There's Hero Siege. This game is really interesting. I picked it up while waiting for a PoE update, and once the update came out, I just stopped playing Hero Siege. It's alright though. There's a few games that I just come back to play about 30 minutes of. Put them on there. I love all these games. They're fun skirmishers. I don't think I've ever finished Halo Wars campaign, but I like to open it up and play a match against the AI. My preferred strategy is picking Prophet of Truth. Homie, it says regret on the clip. I regret this bit. And building nothing except for warehouses and maybe a special unit to cap a building. Basically like playing Warcraft 3. Well, that might be too much of a dated reference. It's like playing a MOBA. Is that dated too? Oh god. Speaking of towers, my preferred strategy in AoE 2, I like to play Sicilians and Tower Rush. AoE 2 has a ton of defensive options, but man, building defensively in RTS games never felt as good as it does in Command & Conquer. I ended up playing a few matches of 0-hour mods against my brother who can outplay me like it's breathing. I tried training myself a few times afterwards, but I got distracted by other things. You know how. You know, it's been a lot of pity partying about failure. Let's talk about games I beat. Yeah, I finished some games this year. Metal Gear Rising was such an excellent game. I played the whole thing from start to finish with my friend Meatman, and it was dope as hell. I also beat the base story in Grim Dawn. I used Aether Ray and just vaporized everything. The other action RPG I played was Weird RPG. I made a whole video about that, but yeah, worth the money, big fan. Well, time for the mainstays, the big ones, the... Forza Horizon 5, that's the name of the racing game. Online discourse is all over the place for this game, but man, I really enjoyed my time with it. However, keeping up with weekly missions kind of threw me off of it. I completely fell off Deep Rock Galactic's second season pass, but ended up being a blessing since the stuff shows up in mission loot boxes. Daily grinds themselves, man. I played Lost Ark this year and the combat felt great, but the farming system just sucked. You upgrade tiers at random, and you basically have to do dailies to keep up with it. Bosses had sick moments though, parrying them was great. I played a lot of Elden Ring but didn't finish it, or Vampire Survivors, or No Man's Sky. Although I guess the last one requires a personal goal, which, for the same reason I dropped out of Path of Exile's endgame so early last league. Yeah, the rares were a big problem, and like I said in the video, the mechanic was boring, so I couldn't justify playing it. Plus, I didn't really enjoy my builds as much as I did in the past. Ruthless looks fun. Ruthless is how I describe Darktide. Holy shit, that game's brutal. You see a lot of people die in some gnarly ways. Total Warhammer 3 keeps the brutality alive as well. I love the murder circus there. So far this year I enjoyed games that had modular difficulty, where you take one part, make it super hard, but the rest easier. Project Zomboid lets you do all kinds of stuff, and I like how 7 Days to Die lets you have a perpetual endless nightmare mode. Both of those games are great. I use Tabletop Simulator to play Magic the Gathering, so that's why it's on the list. I'm working on something for Avorion, so it's in my played it a lot section, but it's mostly just a shadow recommend. It's a very good game. This year was pretty fun for video games. I've played a lot in my past, but this is just everything from 2022. Oh yeah, I should probably declare a Game of the Year. Well, I did play Elden Ring, so my Game of the Year's gotta be Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter Rise fits everything I like in games. The grinding is fun, the boss fights are exciting. I only play 2 out of like all 8 weapons or whatever, but I just have such a good time playing the game. Hey, it's me from the future. Fun fact, I went back and had to record a lot of footage for this video in particular. It was typically like a 2-minute segment of pretty much every video game on this list. And there's always the danger of me starting to play the game and being like, oh, this is fun, and then I keep going. For every game on this list, I kept it under about 30 minutes for each game. Some of the Age of Empires skirmish went a little bit long. But Monster Hunter Rise, holy shit. Oops. If you're wondering why the video didn't come out on the 15th like it was supposed to, it's kind of because I got a little caught up grinding away at Monster Hunter. I was just having too much fun fighting Kushala and Teostra, and yeah, that's why the video's late, is because, you know, my Game of the Year was too fun and I didn't stop playing it to make the video. Anyway, back to past me. I think if you organize my games by which ones I spent the most time in this year, obviously Deep Rock Galactic and Path of Exile are pretty high up there. But I feel like fun per hour, it's still just Monster Hunter Rise. I love Path of Exile, but you just don't get the same feeling whenever you're fighting a monster that's like 3 accords long and, you know, moves as fast as a fucking Honda. That game is just so much fun, like, every moment. There wasn't any games that I played this year that I consider super influential or just like emotionally gripping. Sometimes I just play video games just to have something to do, you know, in the background of a Discord call, and that's kind of what it was this entire year. Starting this channel felt pretty fun though. There's a whole lot of moments that I have where I just swear, you know, the world looked very different to me than everybody else. But hopefully you got something out of this. I wholeheartedly recommend every game that was in this video. You might have to look deeper or, you know, figure out whether or not the game is actually for you, but there's just so much going on in so many of them, so. Except for Lost Ark, you probably shouldn't play that one. But every other video game, very exciting, very fun, highly recommend.
Summon. What?
Well, that